On 10 July, the center of attention in Korea is the city of Taejon. North Korean forces have driven 60 miles south of Seoul to a point only 15 miles from Taejon. Here, United States troops, backed by powerful air and artillery concentrations, have temporarily halted the communist tank drive, but no solid defense line has been formed. Troops of the Republic of South Korea are fighting on the right flank of United States forces. This is the situation in the third week of the Korean War. The main port of entry in Korea for U.S. supplies and reinforcements is the port of Pusan. On 5 July, an LST prepares to unload. The immediate destination of the troops on board is a staging area to which they will be transported in buses. Men and equipment being landed here will be rushed to the fighting front to bolster the thin line that is delaying the Red March on Taejon. These troops, this ammunition and equipment, will take part in a delaying action, which is designed to slow down the North Koreans to a 4-mile-a-day pace during their advance to Taejon. Most of the equipment and most of the men required to launch a U.S. offensive will have to be landed here in Pusan in the months to come. South Korean civilian dock workers help unload ammunition and equipment, which is so badly needed at this time. Up at the front, 30 miles north of Taejon on 7 July, United States infantrymen have been forced to withdraw before North Korean tank columns. U.S. artillerymen direct their fire on the village of Cheonan, 2 or 3 miles away. Cheonan has been overrun by the communists earlier in the day, and until tank and infantry reinforcements can be brought up, the job of these artillerymen is to fight a rear guard action. Their routine is to dig in, fire, withdraw. Dig in and fire again on practically an around-the-clock schedule. Not the least problem in a fluid situation such as this has been supplying the guns with ammunition. Supply lines are constantly threatened by infiltrating enemy infantrymen and tanks. A heavy mortar crew has finished digging in after a withdrawal 1 mile south of Cheonan. Nearby, radio men have set up communications. On 8 July, with the United States defense line well south of Cheonan, some of the first United States tanks to reach Korea head toward the front. By 9 July, captured Russian equipment is increasingly in evidence. Russian scout cars, Russian motorcycles. This materiel was captured in the vicinity of Cheonan, 20 miles from Taejon. Weapons of unusual design are also examined with interest by American Army personnel. The North Koreans are presently using these Russian-made guns in the field. These are Russian-made tanks knocked out on 9 July, testimony to the excellent equipment the North Koreans have. During these first weeks of the Korean War, the North Koreans' tanks advanced practically without opposition. On 14 July, the Taejon airstrip is still in American hands, and U.S. wounded are brought here to be flown to Japan in hospital planes. These wounded are mostly casualties of the temporary stand being made at the Kum River near Taejon. Large red crosses, normally identifying ambulances, have been obliterated as much as possible. Even tar has been used to cover them. The North Koreans make targets of clearly marked ambulances. Aboard these planes are nurses who will accompany the wounded on the trip back to the base hospitals in Japan. Some of the more severely wounded receive plasma and other necessary treatment during the trip. On 18 July, 5,000 troops of the United States 1st Cavalry Division land on the east coast of Korea in a full-fledged amphibious movement. They land in one day on the beaches and docks near the port of Pohang. The U.S. Army and Navy collaborate in one of the quickest and most efficient large-scale amphibious operations in history. Although the main communist forces are only 30 miles north of here, this landing is unopposed. The Hell for Leather Cavalry Division doesn't even get its feet wet. The object for this move in the Korean Battle of the Buildup is twofold: to get more United Nations troops into Korea as quickly as possible without overloading the already congested facilities at the port of Pusan, and to strengthen the northern line held by the battle-weary 24th Division and the South Korean Army. And time is precious. To the west, the main U.S. forces have just withdrawn from Taejon. As the 1st Cavalry Division moves inland, its commanding general, Major General Hobart R. Gay, holds a conference at the command post of the 8th Cavalry Regiment. This conference includes Brigadier General Varnard Wilson, Assistant Commanding General of the 25th Division, Brigadier General Charles Palmer, Commanding General of Division Artillery, and Colonel Ray D. Palmer, Commanding Officer of the 8th Cavalry Regiment. Shortly after hitting the beach, General Gay said, "Our job is to kill North Korean troops until the United Nations has won a victory in Korea." In the port city of Pohang, South Korean townspeople, who remain off the streets, have erected a sign of welcome. Plodding through a dusty village in a far-off land is no new experience to the 1st Cavalrymen. In World War II, they operated as dismounted and motorized troops in the Admiralty and Leyte campaigns and spearheaded the return to Manila. They are now a full-fledged infantry outfit. They lose no time heading towards the enemy.